This week, a federal judge in Texas declared it unconstitutional for the Affordable Care Act to require coverage for certain HIV prevention drugs. U.S. District Court Judge Reed O'Connor ruled that the ACA mandate for free coverage of HIV drugs like Truvada and Descovy, commonly known as PrEP, violated the religious beliefs of a Christian-owned company. These drugs are taken by hundreds of thousands of Americans, but they're most often taken by men who have sex with other men. And that is the crux of the issue for conservative activist Jonathan Mitchell and the Christian employer on behalf of which he filed this lawsuit. For years, Mitchell and other Republicans have targeted, quote unquote, liberal social policies with legal action, including abortion rights and LGBTQ rights. This Texas ruling comes just as elected LGBTQ officials and Democratic operatives joined forces to fight conservative bigotry and discrimination, creating a political group, Agenda PAC, which has taken on anti-LGBTQ candidates in the midterms.
We have to fight back and stop them. Our mission, harness our energy, make the difference in tough races, protect our basic freedoms to love and choose. That's our agenda. We're Agenda PAC.
Joining me now is Agenda PAC Chair and Pennsylvania State Representative Malcolm Kenyatta and my good friend Malcolm. It's so good to see you. What is your reaction to this Texas judge's ruling on HIV preventative drugs?
You know, Katie, always good to be with you. My reaction is one of a turned stomach. You know, as somebody for whom my Christian faith is core to who I am, I was ordained as a minister in my Pentecostal church at the age of 14. I almost went to seminary. My faith is a guide and a cornerstone of my entire life, and that's true for so many people. And to see our faith be bastardized over and over again to justify clear cruelty is incredibly frustrating to me as a person of faith. Jesus literally spent his life going around healing people who had chronic diseases. And now you have people who claim that they are followers of Jesus, who want to strip away life-saving treatments and also preventative treatments like PrEP and like HIV medicines, which we know has helped so many people live a healthy, whole lifestyle. And so it is infuriating. My hope is that this is obviously not upheld, but this is a part of what we're seeing out of this Christian nationalist movement that flies in the face of everything I learned growing up in church and also flies in the face of who we ought to be as Americans.
Yeah, and Malcolm, obviously the intent behind this lawsuit was motivated by hate and hatred towards a specific group of people. So to combat that, let's talk about Agenda PAC. What impact do you want this group to have in this upcoming November midterm election, 2024 elections, and all of the election cycles that are to come?
Yeah, so you know what? We are doing everything we can to beat the beatable bigots all across this country. You know, I will tell you, I've been saying this over and over again, but so many of these folks, be it religious freedom or this, you know, they just try to own the zeitgeist around this idea of American freedom. A part of what these bigots consistently do is expose themselves. They actually don't give, you know, two farts about freedom, okay? They are about imposing their views onto other people. And Agenda PAC is going to make sure we stop these people from being in office. We're going to be doing the type of aggressive messaging and campaigning, telling people the truth and being a part of this conversation. I think it's critical for us to not allow the bigots to be the only voice in conversations about our basic freedoms and rights. We're going to be rolling out our first ad against Doug Mastriano just early next next week. And so if people want to be, the first in line to see this ad, I think it's pretty good. They should just go to agendapack.org, get involved, as we're seeing so many people across the country, decide to do as well. And we're going to continue to take on the people who have no business being in office. We have to make sure that in this country, no matter who you are, who you love, how you worship, that you get a fair shot and a fair shake. And we're not just going to sit idly by while people try to rip away the freedom to choose, the freedom to love, and the freedom to exist as an American, and be a full participant in the promise of this country.
So let's talk about those freedoms. Malcolm, you and I have had conversations before about what happened during the Dobbs decision and the impact that it had. And so now we have this ruling in Texas dealing with the PrEP medications. Justice Clarence Thomas in his concurrence in Dobbs saying that he wanted the court to revisit same-sex marriage, the right to contraception. I mean, he identified cases that clearly were highlighting that SCOTUS, for example, might be gunning for those freedoms. What is the work that your group going to be doing to help combat that?
So part of what we're going to be doing is to make sure that there is a political price to pay for, peddling these types of hateful messages, pushing these types of policies that we know have a devastating impact on families. And I think a part of what happens when you expose what these ideas look like in practice, you see a lot of Americans say, no, I don't want any parts of that. You look at what happened since Dobbs was overturned, and even more Americans are saying they want to see abortion be legal in all instances because we're seeing the real impact of it. We're seeing kids who were raped having to cross state borders because they can't get an abortion in their state. We're seeing women who you might have a miscarriage who are now at risk of being investigated by the police, doctors who are having to consult a lawyer before they perform a medical procedure. The same is true around these bigoted policies against the LGBTQ community. In Texas, where that governor said that they were going to send Child Protective Services after parents who just support their kids as who they are, Child Protective Services said in a lawsuit that they are at a breaking point. They're not able to actually investigate real child abuse because they're going after affirming parents. Agenda PAC is going to show on TV, on digital, through text, through billboards, show people what that looks like in practice, because I do not believe that a majority of the American people want to go back to a place where who you love is decided by somebody else. A majority of the American people don't want to have fewer rights in the next 50 years than they had in the previous 50 years. And Agenda PAC is going to show these bigots for the hateful monsters that they are. And we believe that the American people are going to rally with us to beat them. And again, as I said, people every single day, Katie, I've been blown away by how many people are going to agendapack.org to get involved in this work. And we're excited for everybody to see this first ad in a couple of days.